Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to News Talk with yours truly, Chris Ano, coming to you from the great state of Texas, Houston, Texas precisely. Thanks for tuning in. For all of you joining from the continent of Africa by way of satellite television, it's a privilege to have you tonight. And for you joining by way of the social media, YouTube and Facebook, of course, my heart goes out to all of you. Without you, we will not be here tonight. I come to you with very exciting updates of what is happening with the election, the aftermath of the elections in Cameroon, talking about what Issa Tchiroma is set to do. And they appeal all the invitation from Cameroon for the papacy, Pope Leo XIV, to visit Cameroon. For what reason? Still not understood yet. But I will also be having a very special guest with me tonight, one who carried out or who sanctioned, presided over the Catholic Church observing elections in Cameroon. I'm talking about Reverend Father Ladovic Lado. He will be joining me in the very exclusive interview to tell us what they observe in the elections in Cameroon. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stay put. I'm going to be right back. When I come back, I will take you first to Issa Tchiroma, who tells us what he has in stock for Cameroonians in the days ahead, precisely Friday. Stay tuned, please.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
Cameroonian, my dear compatriot, ladies and gentlemen, a few days ago, I gave the illegitimate regime a 48 hours deadline to proceed with the immediate release of all political prisoners and arbitrary detainees. In that time, only small number among the thousands of detainees, mostly minor who should never have been there, have been released from their cells. I take note of that. However, the gesture remains very insufficient. It is merely a masquerade aiming at deceiving our people. There are still many, far too many, in detention, and arrest continue. The regime has chosen to disregard this appeal, just as it has disregarded your votes, your voices, and even your life. Since then, I have remained silent. I have listened. I have observed. It is therefore my duty today to break this silence. I address you with seriousness, solemnity, and respect. On October 12, 2025, you spoke. You made your choice. And for daring to defend that choice, some Cameroonians have fallen under the bullet of a desperate regime. They fell in the streets of our city, hunted down, beaten, and tortured. They fell so that the truth may live. They were minor, young adult, father, and brave mother. They were Cameroonian. They are today our martyrs. In their memory, in homage to their sacrifice, and in fidelity to our common oath, in my capacity as a president-elect, I decided that Friday, November 21, 2025, as a National Day of Mourning. This day will be a public holiday throughout the national territory. No businesses, no office, no administrative services should operate. This will not be an ordinary day. It will be a day of silence, remembrance, and reflection. I invite you to observe a minute of silence exactly at noon, 12 p.m. throughout the national territory and in the diaspora, united in grief but standing in dignity. I call upon believers of all faiths to gather in their place of worship, to pray, to entrust to God the souls of our loved one, to sanctify the memory of the righteous struggle. This coming Friday, November 21, will not only be a tribute, it will be an act of resistance, a collective offering in memory of those who have fallen. Like the hero of 1955, those of May 26, 1990, or the uprisings of 2008, who never received a national recognition, the martyrs of this electoral crisis will enter the history of free Cameroon. We will thus present to the world an image of a united, dignified, and supportive people who yield neither to fear nor to electoral theft and do continue in honor to build the Republic of the sovereign people. A support fund for the victims will also be established. We will clarify the detail in due time. To all I say, this day unites us in sorrow, but also in the promise of a better tomorrow. A tomorrow where justice will replace impunity, where education, health, and infrastructure will be the priority of a state reconciled with its mission. Our action to respect your will is grounded in a clear and structured plan. New instruction will be given in the day to come, aligning with our strategy of active and passive resistance. I state this firmly. I will not betray. I have received a clear mandate from the people to uphold the truth of the ballot box and to engage in the moral and political reconstruction of Cameroon. I decided to dedicate the rest of my life to fulfill this oath of loyalty to the Cameroonian people.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. That was Issa Tchiroma, the president-elect of Cameroon, addressing the people yesterday and announcing a ghost town, a lockdown of Cameroon on Friday, that is tomorrow. So he is asking Cameroonians to stay home tomorrow, lock down the territory in protest for all of those who have been picked up by the regime, put behind curtain walls, and those who have died since October 12th. That is what the announcement is all about. And he's also saying Cameroonians should trust him. Cameroonians should trust him. You will not leave them alone. You will fight for them. That is his message, ladies and gentlemen. Issa Tchiroma's message. Now I bring you my monologue tonight, which has to do with that message put out yesterday by Issa Tchiroma. And I think the criticism out there is the campaign has to realize that ghost towns alone are not going to be enough. There's been already a lot of silence since the inauguration, and these ghost towns are not enough. Yes, so yesterday, Issa Tchiroma Bakare finally broke his long silence. He addressed the Cameroonian people and called for a national day, for a one-day ghost town, a symbolic stand against a regime that refuses to hear, a regime that refuses to heal, and refuses to accept the will of its citizens. And let us be clear, ghost towns have power. They shake economies. They send messages. They demonstrate unity, the unity of the people. They remind dictators that the streets do not belong to armored cars, but to the citizens who walk them. So yes, the call for a ghost town is welcome. It is necessary and it is strategic too. However, Cameroonians are asking a deeper question. Is it enough? For weeks now since the election, since the stolen victory, since the inauguration that only the regime attended, the people have been waiting for direction, waiting for leadership, waiting for a voice that would guide them through this defining moment in history. It is now more than a month since the fraudulent inauguration of Paul Biya, and millions who believe in Issa Tchiroma, who saw in him their last hope, who risked their lives casting votes for him, they are now becoming anxious. They are asking, where is he? What is next? How do we sustain this revolution he declared? And this is the truth that must be spoken, not out of malice, but out of love for the struggle and respect for the millions who stood behind Issa Tchiroma. Mr. Tchiroma, while ghost towns are good, ghost towns are not enough. Symbols must be coupled with strategy. Silence must be replaced with direction. And the energy of the people must be channeled into coherent, actionable, visible projects. The revolution needs momentum, and momentum cannot survive in darkness. Let us revisit the last major directive he issued, talking about the 48-hour ultimatum demanding the release of political prisoners and detainees. The entire nation stood still. People held their breath. The regime trembled, not because it feared Mr. Tchiroma alone, but because it feared the millions standing behind him. But after the ultimatum expired, only a few inconsequential detainees were released. Individuals whose release, though welcome, did not reflect the weight of the ultimatum or the seriousness of the moment. And then came silence. No follow-up, no plan B, no clarification, no public explanation, nothing from the man who declared a revolution, nothing from a communication team, if one even exists. The population was left suspended, supporters bewildered, asking whether their leader has withdrawn, whether he is recalibrating, or whether he has simply gone quiet. This vacuum of information is dangerous, to say the least. It drains momentum. It gives the regime confidence, and it leaves the people discouraged and withdrawn. No one is asking Mr. Issa Tchiroma to be on television every week or to speak daily. Of course not. Revolutions are not built on noise. They are built on strategy. But revolutions also require a steady heartbeat, a channel, a medium, a structure that keeps the people informed, connected, and engaged. Right now, that heartbeat is faint. The revolution feels disjointed. And communication, its lifeblood, is almost non-existent, ladies and gentlemen. Think about this. As of today, as I speak to you now, neither his campaign nor the revolution has even a website. Not one. This is 2025, not 1992. The idea that a national movement one that stands on the threshold of historical change can run solely on a Facebook page is not just insufficient, it is dangerous. It weakens credibility. It limits reach. It kills seriousness. You cannot confront a ruthless, well-oiled regime in Yaoundé with improvised communication. You cannot run a revolution without an official platform to articulate vision, outline strategy, document abuses, and mobilize supporters and provide daily updates. It is impossible to do that. The people need a digital home, a center of gravity where they can read, learn, understand, and participate. By now, that website should have been launched. By now, committees should have informed. By now, clear strategies should have been communicated to the people. And by now, every supporter should know what the next steps are beyond ghost towns. Because ghost towns alone, ladies and gentlemen, do not win revolutions. Ghost towns are a tool, not a plan. And if we are being honest, this slow, uncertain pace is dangerously reminiscent of the SDF under John Frundi and the MRC under Maurice Kamto. Powerful beginnings followed by indecision, delayed communication, and a gradual loss of public confidence. Cameroonians do not want that story repeated. Not this time. When the regime is weaker than it has ever been, when international attention is sharpened, when the Catholic Church on observers have documented that Paul Biya lost by a landslide, and when the people are more unified in frustration than at any point in the last 4 decades of that country. This is why urgency is essential. Not recklessness, not impulsive declarations, but urgency. A clear understanding that momentum is a fragile flame that must be fed or it dies. And right now, the people are whispering, not loudly yet, but increasingly. Is Issa Tchiroma still the leader of this revolution? Does he have a plan? Is he still committed? Or is silence the new strategy? And if the team around him hears nothing else, they must hear this. The people of Cameroon are the only force that Yaoundé fears. The action of the masses, the unity of the streets, the collective defiance of a population refusing to bow. That is what Yaoundé fears. But the people cannot sustain that energy without leadership, without daily engagement, without a reassurance that there is direction, coordination, and vision. The Tchiroma team cannot afford to be reactive. They cannot afford to appear overwhelmed. They cannot afford to behave as though they do not understand the magnitude of this moment. If they intend to engage, then engage. Engage right now. If they intend to organize, then organize. If you intend to lead, then lead now. But this half-presence, this scattered communication, this uncertainty, ladies and gentlemen, it bleeds the movement. It has been more than a month since the inauguration. More than a month since Cameroonians saw their mandate stolen. More than a month since the street demanded direction. And still, There is no structured communication machinery, no regular updates, no formal team announcing the next steps. Leaders emerge to declare revolutions, but revolutions are sustained by systems, by communication, and by coordination. This silence is not how you launch a revolution. It is not how you sustain a population's hope. And it is not how you defeat a regime that thrives on confusion, thrives on misinformation, and thrives on intimidation. So let this message be clear. The ghost town call, the ghost town call is good, but the revolution requires more visibility, more structure, more presence, more communication, and more direction. Before Cameroonians begin to lose faith, before the momentum dissipates, Issa, Tchiroma, and his team must rise to the urgency of the moment. Launch the website, build the communication team, give daily updates through a structured channel, provide clarity, even if it is minimal. Because the people are ready, the people are willing, the people are waiting. And the only thing they fear more than the regime is being abandoned by the man they entrusted with their hope. If this revolution is to stand, it must speak, it must organize, it must lead. Not eventually, not tomorrow, but now. Now. That is my monologue, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to bring in my guest for tonight, who is joining me from the great state of Massachusetts, the Reverend Father Ladovic Lado. The Reverend, if you can bend your camera slightly, please. Awesome, wonderful, that is great. Okay, it's a great pleasure to have you here on the set, sir. Joining me again from, I believe, from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes, yeah. Good evening, Mr. Chris. Yes, thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. You are very much welcome. I believe, Reverend, you are not a Cameroonian citizen. Correct me if I am wrong, sir.
I am a Cameroonian citizen. I left 3 months ago.
You are a Cameroonian citizen?
Fellowship in the U.S. Yes.
I am confused with your names. When I say Ladovic, sounds Russian or Eastern Europe, and then Lado. I've never heard a Cameroonian name as Lado.
Oh, yes, you're right. It sounds Russian or Slavish or something like that. But I'm a Cameroonian. Yes, I was born in Cameroon.
That's quite interesting.
I grew up in Cameroon. And,
that's quite interesting. All right, yes. Reverend, you hold in there. We are also being joined by a comrade, forgotten the name here, that is Emmanuel Mote. Yes, we are being joined by a Cameroonian from France, from Paris, precisely by the name of Emmanuel Mote. Thank you for joining me, sir. If you can lift your camera a little bit, it is cutting your head there. All right, that is better. Thank you for joining me, Emmanuel from Paris.
Thank you. Well, first of all...
Yes, go on. Go on.
Well, I want to thank you for welcoming me here, because I've been looking forward to addressing the Cameroonian public concerning this matter. But first of all, I want to praise His Excellency President-elect Tchiroma Bakari for being the first president in Cameroon history to address the nation in a perfect bilingual statement, which should strike everyone as a revolutionary attitude, calling for reconciliation between Francophones and Anglophones, while sending out a powerful message to France that time for true respect for Cameroon is come. I left this country in the 80s, just before Paul Biya became president. And I went to Europe, Canada, France. I became France and Europe karate champion. But I also study psychology, international relations, political science, anthropology. And I want to use all these tools to tell the people, first of all, that the problem number one, probably the deeper cause of weakness in Cameroon is the imbalance between Anglophone and Francophone. I was born in Cameroon, in a so-called Francophone place. My father was a sous-prefet. I was raised in a French family, speaking French, having French professors, going to French colleges. However, I speak both French and English. I'm bilingual, just as our presidents. So I try to be what I want Cameroonians to be. That is, we should all speak both English and French. I was appalled when you interviewed the mayor, Joseph Bion, yesterday. He's a mayor, he's a representative of the people. And he was unable to pour out an English sentence to address his people. This is unacceptable. This is really a shameful situation. We should not allow any public representative to come into office without being bilingual. So what should we say, that a mayor of a great town like Douala will be a mayor only for Francophones? He cannot talk to Anglophones? This is where we should start, because we want these people to rise and be strong. But there is an imbalance, there is a deep weakness among us. And I'm ashamed to realize that I will come to Cameroon and speak to another brother Cameroonian, and he will say, I can hear you. Can you speak English? Or can we have a translator? This is unacceptable. I should be able to speak either French or English to anyone in Cameroon. I'm meeting people, instead of telling me I'm a Cameroonian, they tell me I'm an Ambazonian. What is that? So there is a part of Cameroon who feel rejected, ostracized, so much that they have to change the name from Cameroon to Ambazonian. I want to address these situations tonight, if you let me. So I will come back to that and explain also historically where all those things are coming from, where this partition is coming from. If you let me, I can continue, or maybe I should come later.
Definitely, we will find time to get into that. For the moment, let us focus on the work that Issa Tchiroma is trying to do, but then there is lots of criticism out there on the way he is doing it. A 48-hour ultimatum is passed, and the 48 hours are over. Nobody hears from him. There is no further plan in the limelight. It comes out yesterday finally, and he declares a ghost town tomorrow, Friday, just giving people 1 day or so to prepare. Yet they have labeled this a revolution. The question many are asking out there is, so after tomorrow, after Friday ghost town, what next? This is a campaign or a team that doesn't even have a website. I don't understand how you could run a presidential campaign without a website, using a Facebook. This is what is wrong with the men, with the team that surrounds him. You're a sponsor.
Well, The first thing is when a people has been crucified for decades under persecution, people don't have the salary, they have to wait 6 months to get a salary. You know, you see this woman, she has a land, and the land is stolen by a personality that belongs to the government. People cannot get sufficient health care. It's not easy for such a society to rise and fight all of a sudden. That's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to tell you is that Issa Tchiroma and his team are facing a very powerful government. Biya's government has the military, he has technology.
Please, hold, Emmanuel, hold on there. What does that got to do with creating a simple website, putting on a solid communication team to transmit your messages on a regular basis to keep your people updated?
This is why.
Because what is killing what he is trying to do is communication. You don't sit out there for 4 weeks or for 3 weeks and then comes out once and then put a short statement, call for a ghost town, and people are wondering what next. If you had a common web page, you go there, you put up a program for a month, people will know what steps to follow. It doesn't exist.
I understand your frustration, Chris. But what I want to answer to that is, if you put out your strategy, if you build a website, if you build a stronghold where everybody can go and target you, if everybody knows where you are, you will be easily targeted. What I'm trying to say is, this is an uncommon process.
Hold on. Oh, I don't understand what you mean. You live in a developed world, they call it, Emmanuel. You live in France. Nobody runs a campaign, a presidential campaign in France without a website. Even us here in Amazonia, we run a liberation struggle. We have websites. What is it that's going to? Well, I'm not saying go on your website and tell them where you are buying ammunition or where you are hiding this or hiding that. We are saying there are certain things that can be communicated in advance and people can find out information on your website, your dream, your plan, what you hope to achieve. That is motivational to the people and to dignitaries who want to know exactly what you are trying to do.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. But I think the answer is in the question. You said that I'm in France, I'm in a developed country where there are rights and the rights are sustained. You know, and when it comes to Cameroon, you cannot act as if you were in a modern democratic country. In Cameroon, the government is using the Pegasus tool. The Pegasus tool was used to spy all the telephones of President-elect Tchiroma. And they have this technology, they have this ability actually to bring up rules that would benefit those who stand above the rules. That's the point. In Cameroon, you cannot put on a website because it will be targeted unlawfully. They will use force instead of justice. They will use the law for themselves against you. And it is the political, social, economical context of Cameroon that urged Tchiroma to act in an uncommon way, unexpectedly, unforeseeably, in a way that people cannot easily attack and destroy. It is a place of lawlessness. Cameroon is a place of lawlessness. And I understand the people who want to know exactly what's going on. But the response is, when you are at war, you have to acknowledge the terrain. You have to acknowledge the circumstances. And Cameroon is a very peculiar place where lawlessness prevails. So this is what we're doing. We are using self-communication. We will not tell much of what we're doing. However, this doesn't mean that things are not ready to explode in the face of the world. Everything you're looking for, everything you're asking for is being done right now. But we don't want to show it. We don't want people to target it because they have unlawful ways. They have spies, they have mercenaries, they have all kinds of technologies from Israeli, etc. So things are being done, but they're hid. For instance, there are reports by human rights violation reports sent to human rights. And I have a report here I can show you that the international community is monitoring the situation. This is a report from human rights. Because what I need you to understand is Tchiroma is not working only within Cameroon. He's working in connection with international community organization. For instance, human rights violation reports here says the authority responded with widespread opposition-led protests following the October 12, 2025 elections with little force and mass. This is a report that the human rights has received, and I'm reading you that report. The Constitutional Council announced on October 27 that the incumbent President Paul Biya had won the election, but there was no proof of that. The report says that the violent crackdown on protesters and ordinary citizens across Cameroon lays bare a deepening pattern of repression that casts a dark cloud over the election, says Ilaria Allegrozzi. This is the senior Africa researcher at Human Rights Watch, Chris. The authorities should immediately rein in, investigate, and prosecute responsible security forces, and all political leaders should call their supporters to reject violence. Human Rights Watch spoke to 20 people, including relatives of people killed or injured during protests, as well as lawyers and political opposition members. The protest broke out on October. I'm reading the report of Human Rights Watch here. The protest broke out on October 26th.
We know that. We get that, Emmanuel. We get that. I think nobody denies what La Republique is trying to do on the ground. We are saying, what I'm saying is, if something is not done and quickly too, they lose the momentum that is there on the ground. I don't know whether you guys in the middle of this understand that the people that is human frailty that says they can only wait for so long. You understand?
I get it.
You cannot give them these theories on a daily basis. They are hungry for action. And I'm merely saying here, if there is any action indeed that has to be done, this should be the beginning of that time. And when you declare a ghost town, you should be ready to tell the people what follows next.
Well, it was told already. Maybe you didn't get that, but maybe it's still secret. But there's a timing that has been laid out that by Christmas, the Bias regime will be down. It was laid out once, but we know that things are going very, very good. And the military is ready. There are soldiers that are ready. And what Tchiroma Bakary is doing actually is just complying with international rules and communities. But at the same time, there is actually a schedule, there is a timing. By Christmas, you will see the result of all these things that have been hidden, and then you will understand why they're hidden. So things, I'm asking people to trust the process, to be patient, and just because they don't see what they would like to see or hear what they would like to hear, doesn't mean that things are not being carried out properly. So I'm setting a schedule here, a timing that by Christmas time things will change. And when people will see the new government in equity, the momentum you've been looking for will be there. So it's just a different way.
You are saying people should sit down, not be worried, wait for January to come, and they will see immediate change, accompanied with some action. Is that what you are promising the people?
Exactly. People should follow the requirements of President-elect Tchiroma Bakari, do what he says. He has communication, but he also has army. Okay? He has plans, projects. He has a speaker now in Cameroon, but he also has plan to get into that palace by Christmas. So things are being done diplomatically, okay, and also with the military. It's both feet. It's 2 feet. Diplomacy, and do not forget, Chris. I think you know this principle that war is diplomacy by other means. War is diplomacy by other means. Though there is a war going underneath right now in Cameroon, and the soldiers are ready. They also always waiting, only waiting for diplomatic go. And again, people have to be patient, follow the plan, listen to the president, listen to the president's speaker, and believe that at the same time, the military is ready to take over.
All right, we'll hold it on there. We'll hold it on there. Hold it on there. We will get back to that. But let me go back to my main talking point of the day. Bring in Reverend Ladovic to weigh in on the subject and let us know, because this has to do with the involvement of the Pope. Invitations are being sent to the Pope to visit Cameroon by all standards to essentially endorse the illegitimacy of what happened in that country. So please stay put, Emmanuel. I will get to this monologue. When I come back, sure. I will go with Reverend Lado first, and then I get back to you. So please stay put in there as we bring you that monologue, ladies and gentlemen. Please, let's get the graphics up. Let's get the graphics up. All right. All right, let's get to that. All right. Your Holiness, Pope Leo XIV, before you pack your bags for Cameroon, before you allow yourself to be photographed standing beside a man whose own citizens no longer recognize his legitimacy, permit me to speak plainly. If ever there was a moment for the Catholic Church to reclaim its moral voice, that moment is now, at least as far as Cameroon is concerned. And yet the Vatican, the Nunciature, and the Catholic hierarchy in Cameroon are walking down a path that betrays not only the people, but the truth they themselves documented. On October 12, 28 million Cameroonians spoke clearly They voted, they waited, they hoped. And when the ballots were observed and counted, not by politicians, not by cronies, but by Catholic observers deployed across the nation, one result emerged beyond manipulation. Issa Tchiroma Bakari won by 62% according to their observation. Paul Biya by 26%. This is not rumor. This is not speculation. This is the Catholic Church on documented truth. But then down broke, and the familiar shadow returned. The regime reversed the numbers. A fraudulent proclamation was made. And what did the Vatican's highest representative, the Apostolic Nuncio, do? He became the first foreign dignitary to rush into the arms of the very man whose victory the church on observers had disproven. The Vatican Nuncio blessed deception. He saluted a theft. He validated a lie. And in that moment, the Catholic Church in Cameroon lost its voice, its moral voice, its moral authority, and its connection to the faithful. How can a nuncio congratulate Paul Biya when Catholic records show that Paul Biya lost? How can Rome pretend neutrality when Rome possesses the truth? How can the Catholic Church proclaim Vox Populi, Vox Dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God, yet refuse to hear that voice when it comes from Cameroonians? This is the question burning in the hearts of the people. This is the frustration that spills into the streets, into the parish halls, into whispered conversations during Mass, and into the viral video from Bamenda, where a congregation, upon hearing the nuncio refer to Paul Biya as president, erupted not into applause, but into jeers inside the church. The one place Cameroonians are taught to hold sacred. That moment was not mockery of the church. It was a desperate cry for the church to stop mocking them. Your Holiness, Cameroonians are not blind. They know when Rome prefers diplomacy over truth. They know when silence becomes complicity. They know when the church chooses comfort over courage. And they know that a pope, newly elected, barely settled into the chair of St. Peter, should not be sprinting towards a regime drowning in illegitimacy without first demanding justice. That's what Cameroonians demand. They want to see the Pope do. Cameroonians are asking, why is the Pope so eager to visit a 93-year-old man who clings to power against the will of an entire nation? Why? Why this haste? Why this blindness? Why this astonishing readiness to obey the summons of a ruler who ignores the cries of his own people? Your Holiness, understand this clearly. The people are not begging you to take their side. They are begging you to take the side of truth. And truth does not tremble. Truth does not wait for permission. Truth does not bow to tyrants. If you must visit Cameroon, then come as the Apostle Peter would have, speaking truth to power, confronting injustice head on, denouncing fraud, and standing with the oppressed. Come with a prophet's voice, not a diplomat's smile. Come as a shepherd that you are, not a celebrity. Come as a defender of the people, not as a guest in the dictator's palace. But if you cannot come with truth, then do not come at all. Decline the invitation. Reject the charade. Refuse to place the weight of your sacred office on the scales of injustice, tipping them even further against the people. God knows Cameroon has bled enough under the weight. For decades, Your Holiness, the Catholic Church in Cameroon has failed to rise to its moral calling. This is not the first time. In 1970, for example, Monsignor Albert Ndongmo dared to speak against tyranny in that same country. He was arrested, sentenced to death, and persecuted. His fellow bishops in the country remained silent. The others remained silent. In 2017, Archbishop Jean-Marie Benoit Bala exposed corruption and cried for accountability. He was assassinated. The church shrugged. And now, Father Ludovic Lado publishes the truth about the October elections. And once again, the bishops hide behind silence. The pattern is unmistakable. Courageous priests fall. Silent bishops survive. And so the people ask bitterly, is the Catholic Church protecting the flock or protecting the powerful? Is Rome hearing their prayers or hearing only the invitations of presidents? Does the Vatican fear earthly rulers more than it fears God? That's a question the people in Cameroon, they are asking. Your Holiness, this visit you are planning is not simply a pastoral journey. It is a moral crossroads. If you step onto Cameroonian soil without acknowledging the stolen election, without demanding justice, without affirming the will of the people, then your visit becomes an endorsement of tyranny. That is exactly what it will look like. Your silence becomes a blessing on fraud. Your presence becomes a seal upon the suffering of millions in Cameroon. Do not think the faithful are indifferent. They have already spoken. When lies from the pulpit provoke outrage instead of reverence, that is a sign God Himself places before the church. What does the Lord require of you? The scripture asks, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. How then can the Catholic Church in Cameroon preach justice while kneeling before injustice? How can it call for mercy while ignoring the suffering of the people? How can it claim humility while dining comfortably with power? Look at Cameroon. Look at Cameroon. Your Holiness, look beyond the gilded reception awaiting you. Look beyond the red carpet and rehearsed choruses. Look to the people, broken, ignored, beaten, tear gas for demanding that their votes matter. Look to the mothers whose children were shot in the street for defending their own dignity. Look to the young men rotting in prisons for daring to say out loud what the church honor observers wrote in black and white. The truth is simple. The people voted for Issa Tchiroma Bakari. The regime flipped the results, and the Catholic Church, through its silence, is helping bury that truth. Your Holiness, I am not asking you to free Cameroon, not at all. And no Cameroonian is asking you to free them. Cameroonians instead are already doing that. They are already doing that by themselves. I'm only asking that the church stop helping the chains tighten. If you must visit Cameroon, then visit with truth on your lips. Visit declaring openly what the church observed on October 12, 2025. Come insisting that the will of the people be respected. Come reminding the regime in Yaoundé that God is not mocked. Or do not come if you can't speak this boldly. Because a pope who comes to bless a lie wounds not only a nation, but the global church itself. And history will remember, one way or another, where you stood when a people cried out for justice. Your Holiness, the voice of the people has spoken. Now the question is simple. Will your church listen? Will you listen? Will Rome choose truth over diplomacy? Will the Pope stand with the people or with the palace? The world is watching. Cameroon is watching. And heaven too is watching. And that is my monologue on this subject, ladies and gentlemen. Let me bring in my exclusive guest now, Reverend Father Ladovic Lado, who chaired the Catholic Church of observer team that monitored elections in Cameroon. Reverend, once more, it's a privilege to have you, sir.
Hello. Good evening, everybody, and I salute all the viewers. And again, thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you, Reverend. You observe. You didn't observe, but I guess you supervise the team, the Catholic team that observed elections on the ground in Cameroon on October 12th. Am I correct?
Well, I wouldn't say I supervised, but I was closely in touch with people involved in that observation and supervision. So, again, the results we kind of put out there are based on reliable sources. So, I stand by them, and again, it is no news that they confirm what Cameroonians are asking for, which means the truth of the ballot boxes. So, again, I was not directly involved in the observation system, but yeah, I managed to get my data out there. Yes.
Now, tell me, was this observation officially sanctioned by the hierarchy of the church or by an independent group within the church?
Sure. I mean, you probably came across the letter signed by the current president of the Episcopal Conference or the Bishops' Conference, the Catholic Bishops' Conference, who is Bishop Mkea, who is the current Archbishop of Bamenda. He signed a letter, and the letter is public, so there's no secret about it. He signed that letter in which he said that the Catholic Church dispatched observers who were able to kind of, monitor elections in at least 12,000 plus polling stations. And this is basically about 40%, if not more, of the overall 31,000 polling stations in Cameroon, and that's a lot. You know,
Right.
President-elect Tchiroma was able to prove that you only need to cover about 20 or 30 major polling or divisions to be able to say you won the elections in Cameroon. And this is based on ordinary statistics. You don't need to be an expert in statistics to be able to confirm that. And so if the Catholic Church was able to observe in at least 12,000 plus polling stations, they know the truth, and we know the truth. So
What was the total
I'm simply
number of
surprised that
voting stations?
they are not able. Sorry, I'm simply surprised that they are not able or courageous enough to say this is what we saw, and they know that Paul Biya didn't win the election, so they know it, but they're afraid to say it.
What was the total number of voting stations nationwide?
At least, I mean, it's about 31,000.
31,000, and you were in, did you say 12,000 of them?
At least 12,000 plus, yes. Again, all these statistics are in that letter signed by Bishop Nkeya, the Archbishop of Bamenda. And so, yes, these were the numbers we had we got from that letter, which shows clearly that if they wanted to be on the side of truth, they have data. They can publish them. And again, I don't understand why they don't want to do that. Well, or I should say, I understand it clearly. I mean, that they are afraid to kind of get in trouble with their friends in power.
So now, if I may ask, when the church orders, because you are here saying, Reverend, Archbishop Nkeya sanctioned this observers team in Cameroon. When the church orders for an observer team for an election like this, what do they want to, what is behind it? What is the goal behind it?
Well, you would expect, as we have seen in neighboring countries like the Democratic Republic of Congo, where, the Episcopal Conference has a nationwide observation, team, and they generally kind of keep a parallel, counting counting of the results, and at the end of the day, they are able to say who won, even if the ruling system doesn't abide by the truth, but they are able to say who won. And that was what I was expecting from the Catholic Church. I mean, again, as you are putting it in that question, why would the church observe an election if it is not to reveal the truth of the polling stations? I would imagine that if you are able to kind of dispatch out there people to observe elections in at least, basically half of the polling stations, you should be able to say these are the tendencies we observed out there. And again, they know the truth. And I don't think that today in Cameroon, and even at the international level, there is any issue about who won the elections in Cameroon. Definitely it's not Paul Biya. Everybody knows it. And they rigged it as usual. The only problem they had this time is that people were, vigilant enough to expose the rigging. And that's their problem. Is this is the first elections rigged in Cameroon. This is probably the first election they were not able to hide. To hide their rigging system. And again, I'm disappointed by the way the church is handling the situation. I would have hoped that they will be on the side of the truth by saying this is what we saw. because the church should be at the service of truth and not at the service of, playing games with a ruthless and, dictatorial and bloodthirsty regime. So, unfortunately, the leadership of the church in Cameroon today is not rising to the challenges we expect them, to the current challenges. So, I'm hoping that the people will continue to resist and reclaim their sovereignty, their victory, their stolen.
Yeah, talking about the church not rising to the current challenges, you have a church that sanctions an observer team to monitor the election. And right after the elections are over, general opinion is that the elections are rigged and stolen. But the first person, the first dignitary, foreign dignitary to go to the Unity Palace to congratulate the loser who rigged the election is the apostolic nuncio, the Catholic bishop, the leader, the representative of the Pope in that country. And it is his organization that has sanctioned this. Are there any differences on disparities, disagreements between the NKs and the apostolic nuncios? What is going on?
Well, I think this is insensitive and unwelcome diplomacy, because diplomacy is not made to hide the truth, well, but the problem is that that's how they're trained. They're trained to just, to kind of just go with the official discourse. Just align with the official powers that be, because they don't want to get into trouble. But I don't think that's the role of the church in any. That's why I was pleased with the reaction of the in the cathedral the other day. That was a wake up call from below, from the congregation, telling these guys, watch out. We are not just going to sit here and listen to any rubbish coming from anybody claiming to be the representative of the Pope. Well, you can do your business, but don't ask us to swallow it. And I think that was a very good reaction. I'm just hoping he got the message and that she is digesting it. But diplomacy should, at the end of the day, be at the service of truth. And even if you don't want to be at the service of the truth, just keep quiet. She didn't need to call out name on the pulpit saying this one is the representative of that one. That wasn't necessary there. If you are preaching, just preach the gospel. You don't go out there. Again, the other day I was saying, on another channel, I was saying that I don't imagine Jesus in a synagogue saying, His Excellency Pilate, His Excellency Herod, His Excellency, I don't know what, before he gives a homily. You don't need that in a church. And why do we need the representative of any president in the church that is being consecrated? And again, this is not, these guys, they lack, they are not sensitive to the suffering and to the struggles of the people. You don't bring somebody like that. You don't name somebody like Paul Biya, calling him President of the Republic of Cameroon, in a place like Bamenda, when people know what they have suffered at the hands of this guy. Just preach your gospel and go away. I think, again, I'm thinking that the bishops have not been, some of the bishops have not been helping him understand the current situation in Cameroon. But he should be intelligent enough to know what is happening in this country. And again, I think the reaction was spontaneous.
Yeah.
People told him off in a way. I think it means that the church itself, the base, which is the church itself, is not happy with how the leadership is handling the current situation.
Reverend, hold on there. Let's play the clip. You listen to it, others listen to it. Then you're gonna have some reactions to it, please.
Sure.
Your Excellency, Your Grace Andrew Naki, Archbishop of Amenda, President of the National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon. Excellencies, dear brother bishops, the Episcopacy, His Excellency Mr. Francis Faye Yongo, National Coordinator of the CNDDR, Representative of the President of the Republic of Cameroon, His Excellency Paul Biya.
All right, you can hear the jeering there. They're like, who they representative, the president of what? And the guy himself is taken by surprise. And Reverend, when he turns around and says, I am the apostolic nuncio, I am the apostolic nuncio, what is he trying to say there?
Well, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it because this is again unusual. I've never seen that in a Catholic church, a nuncio, being bowed by the public. And that's the voice of the people. That's the voice of the people. And the voice of the people is the voice of God. And you cannot, again, let me just recall that just before the elections, Mr. Ngongo, who is the Secretary General of the presidency, he was inviting all these groups, including religious leaders, to Yaoundé, to the palace there. He was talking. He was like saying he was consulting. This we all know it was a foolish game. But the episcopate, the bishops, they went to that invitation. They went to that invitation, and at the end of it, they said, well, they were siding for peace, let elections be peaceful, and let the truth be the truth of the ballot boxes be told, and things like that. They were there. A group of bishops went to that meeting. And it was controversial. People kind of said, "Well, was it not, was it a good response? Was it fitting to go to that kind of meeting?" But at the end of the day, we said, "Well, if they were simply being polite with the powers that be, well, let's see what happens with the elections." Now, so you respond to the call of the people in power. And now, after elections, people are crying out there that they stole our sovereignty. And you don't respond to the voice of the people. Which kind of shepherds are those? You are only sensitive to the powers that are in place and the corrupt system, and they know it. And you can't respond to the call of the people when they are crying out for justice, for truth, to be told. I don't understand how the current, Bishop Conference is behaving. And I simply regret the days of Cardinal Toomey, because he will be out there saying, well, say the truth, speak up and tell the truth to the people. Tell people what happens in the ballot boxes. And they are not doing that. So I'm really disappointed with the current leadership of the church in Cameroon, and even the electoral crisis. We are talking about violence. We are talking about people who lost their lives, at least 40-something people who died. And are unable at least to call, to challenge the military. The military doesn't go out to kill. The military is out to protect. We are not hearing them. Where are they? They are just busy organizing their ceremonies, big ceremonies and things like that. Either you are the Church of Christ, which is always on the siding with the poor, with the downtrodden, with the oppressed, with the orphan, with the poor, with the widow, or you are the church siding with the powerful. And at that point, we have to ask the right question: why? Why are they unable to side with the truth? Why are they to side with justice, to defend the people entrusted to them by God? Because the gospel says the good shepherd gives his life for the shepherd. For the sheep,
For the flock, yes.
but you don't side with the wolf who is out to destroy, to kill, to eat the sheep. So again, there is something that, again, that's why I'm happy with the reaction of the congregation during that. And of course, today, because, a few days after that ceremony, a number of priests and religious nuns were captured and kidnapped in the Northwest and are still in captivity. And what I hear is that people are not, they were captured and they are in captivity because people are not happy with how the leadership of the church has been handling the current situation. But I just hope that those who are holding them will be sensitive to know enough to the dignity of human life and that they don't kill them. So my prayer and thoughts are with them, but my prayer also and thoughts are with all the families who lost their loved ones, not only the thousands of the Anglophone crisis, but also, the dozens who have just lost their life, what you could call today the Francophone crisis.
Now, Cameroon is inviting the Pope for an official visit. What are you hearing? Do you see the Pope accepting the invitation, or do you think he may weigh the situation and decide otherwise?
Well, I was one of the first to write an open letter to the Pope and say, don't come to Cameroon now. And basically for the same reasons you have just given in your monologue. That if people are busy trying to get into Cameroon just to legitimate an illegitimate government. And so I didn't only publish my open letter in the local newspaper. I sent a copy to Rome, and I'm hoping that because in recent days, including yesterday, even today, there are a few other groups who are publishing, who are kind of getting out open letters to the Pope, asking him not to, to accept the invitations. Again, we are dealing here with a church which is trying to bring the Pope to Cameroon. Well, nobody is against, and I will be probably the first not to be against the Pope visiting Cameroon. And
what is the position of the Catholic clergy in Cameroon? Are they all in support of the Pope visit at this moment? Because I know the apostolic nuncio he seems like a whole different entity on its own. Then the local church leadership seems like a whole different entity on its own.
Yes. Well, what I can tell you for sure is that there were emissaries of the Vatican, envoys from Vatican, which came over to Cameroon 2 weeks ago to hold a meeting with local a possible visit the Pope to Cameroon, and which makes me think, because they came to Douala, they met with the Archbishop of Douala, which means that the the current leadership is open to inviting the Pope to come. And that's generally through the nuncio. But what we are trying to do now is to, dissuade the Pope, to kind of, persuade the Pope not to come now. Because if he comes down, they will use his image, to legitimate and illegitimate.
Legitimize, yeah.
Legitimize an illegitimate government.
Yes.
And I think this is the time when people, not just the few who are writing to Vatican, many more people should write to the Vatican and say, this is not the time. We want you, Pope Leo, but not now. Wait until we solve the issue of the legitimate government in Cameroon before you can come, and people will be happy to have you in Cameroon. But if we are only relying on the clergy, well, again, the bishops and the nuncio will do their best to bring him to Cameroon because it's good for their CV. They will be able to say, well, it is when I was a nuncio that the Pope visited Cameroon. It is when I was an archbishop that the Pope visited Cameroon. And this is good for their CVs, but not good for Cameroon. That's why people, again, as they did in Bamenda, should be able to write to the Pope and say, not now, His Holiness.
Now, let's get back to the subject of election monitoring. You came out, you tabulated your own results as giving you, supplied you poll to poll, and you said you are very sure of the data. Can you explain to us how your data was collected and put together? Because you seem to be so sure what you have is exactly what happened on the ground. What makes you so confident the results you were supplied with were the real thing?
Well, again, as you know, that was the major difference this time compared to previous elections, is that Cameroonians understood that the only way to know the truth about election results was to monitor polling station by polling station, and that's what they did is that this time around they managed to kind of get those results out there before they are sent to any divisional commission or things like that. And that's basically what we kind of did also, which means that these results were immediately recorded after the results. And as you know, the electoral law says that results should be made public in any given polling station immediately after when they closed the voting in any polling station. And it was as simple as that people collected polling station by polling station the official results, and it was just a matter of putting in an Excel frame, and you get it. And again, this is, if you compare it to the results of Tchiroma's team, convergences are striking. And I just kind of challenge Elekam to prove us wrong. And you will see that Elekam never tried to publish any polling station by polling station results. Polling station, yes. They will never do that because they will be confounded. They know that will just, betray their. Elekam is a fraud system. Fraudulent system. We know that, they know that, and they can't challenge our results. They can't challenge the results put out by. Because it would have been very easy, to manifest the truth. Tchiroma said, these are my results. And the Elekam should simply have said, no, you are wrong. These are our results. And this is how we, gathered those. They can't do that because they know they are wrong. And again, I'm confident that Biya has never won any election properly in this.
No, he has never.
They were unlucky this time that people were able to put out the fraud. To put out that fraud, and they know that they are illegitimate. That they know it.
Do you see a situation where the Pope can say to Cameroon or to Elekam, why not go ahead and publish these results polling station by polling station if peace will prevail in the country? I mean, using his weight to climb down on them and say, publish the result if that way bring back peace into the country. Do you see the Pope coming in from that angle?
Well, Mr. Crisano, it all depends on what these guys are telling you. Because the Pope is the Pope of the whole Catholic Church in the world. I mean, he has how many countries to handle and how many. And of course, he depends on the nuncio and the bishop conference to tell him the truth. So that's why I just don't understand how, when people are busy trying to reclaim their sovereignty, their stolen sovereignty, the Catholic in Cameroon is mainly committing the Pope to Cameroon, again, for their civils. Because I don't see, the Pope is not going to come and solve the problem, for Cameroonians. That's not his role. I mean, he only rely as as a world religious figure on what he's being told. If the nuncio is telling him, oh, well, come because things are okay. If the bishop's conference is telling him, well, don't worry, we can handle the situation. What popes do? I mean, he would just say, well, I'm going for a pastoral visit to Cameroon. That is why, again, I'm insisting on the fact that Cameroonians, especially Catholics, should, as many as possible, write to the Vatican and say, this is not the time, His Holiness. We want you in Cameroon, but not now. If not, the Pope will simply abide by what he will hear from the nuncio and from the bishop's conference. And that will not help us because these guys in power. I don't just understand how the bishop conference can invite the Pope to Cameroon to visit somebody who has been, to shake hands with somebody who has been in power for 42 years, who has been mistreating his own people, who has just allowed his military. And again, this is just coming to add up to the thousands who have died in the Anglophone crisis. Just of recent, allow his military to kill at least 40 poor people just asking for the truth of the elections in the streets. And these are poor people. Because again, just to comment on what you were saying about Tchiroma's strategy, I completely agree with you that I don't understand that sort of revolutionary approach. I have studied, my discipline is sociology and anthropology, and I have studied political sociology, the sociology of revolutions. The momentum is crucial to the success of any revolution. You don't start a revolution, you go and take a siesta, and you come back and continue revolution. Well, I listened to my fellow panel member who was saying that they have a clear strategy who will get them to Etudi by December. Well, again, I believe in miracles, but the revolutions do not work that way. Remember that those who went into the streets protesting were poor people. They were not middle class.
Right.
They were not this bourgeoisie political class. They were poor people who are the victims of this system. And I think that the urgency, I mean, the emergence and the urgency of the cause was that Tchiroma should have done what he could to keep them on the streets, manifesting, asking for their. When you go and take a siesta and come back and say, well, we are on track, we'll get things done. Well, you are dealing here with a devilish system. And they control the military. I mean, again, I don't know, maybe they have, I mean, they know what they're talking about. But we know what this regime is capable of in terms of violence and even cruelty. So I don't really believe that this soft approach to the revolution happening in Cameroon is going to bear any results. Well, let's just hope that we are wrong and that those who are advising Tchiroma are right. But I've studied enough to know that you don't run a revolution like that. But well, let me just stop there.
Let me get, Reverend, you stay in there. Let me get Emmanuel to come back in and respond to that, because he seemed to be saying, no, don't be worried, not to be worried. Everything is coming up okay. Emmanuel, you heard the Reverend there express the same sentiments that I expressed in my monologue. And that's how the Cameroonian people feel.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask the Reverend if the revolution we studied were conducted in an unlawful country as Cameroon is, a country that was delivered to Satan, where the political personnel is recruited after sodomy. It's good to study revolutions, but it's also good not to apply systematically your studies or your views to any situation, any nation, regardless of the situation, the culture, the circumstances, and the kind of government we're talking about. That's the first thing. Just because something never happened doesn't mean that it will not happen. That's neither a scientific nor a spiritual approach, because God himself has in check things that we don't know. Okay? And when it comes to good, God has a lot in check to surprise Satan, because Satan wants you to do things that he already knows. That's what I'm saying to my fellow preacher, because I'm also an apostle of Christ. Okay? So that's the point. Wars are also won out of surprise, out of uncommon approach, especially when we come into this kind of circumstances. Now, about sending people in the streets, sending people to take to the streets, and shout, etc. Have you been seeing? Maybe that's your experience. Let me give you just a statistics here from Human Rights Watch that reviews 5 lists compiled by pro-opposition lawyers with the names of 312 people detained since October 26, with 154 yet to be presented before a judge. Among those detained in Yaoundé, at least 6 are being held at the State Defense Secretariat. This is government. This is a legal place. Now, see what they're doing with the law, okay? This is a detention facility where Human Rights Watch, I repeat, has documented routine use of torture. Lawyers told Human Rights Watch that the charges against those detained include hostility against the homeland, revolution, rebellion, insurrection. That's what we want people to do. They say the offenses have been applied indiscriminately and are unrelated to the actual acts of protest. Some of these crimes, I repeat, crimes could be punishable with the death penalty. This is what we're talking about when we're talking about sending people indiscriminately in the to the streets. Lawyers also reported only very limited access to the clients, as well as mistreatment of some of them upon arrest. My fellow priest, Cameroonian is a people that has been knocked down for about, let's say, 100 years. They never raise, never protest. There are layers and layers of persecution on them. It's not easy to assimilate this kind of people to all the nations where revolutions have taken place. We have to take those things into account and admit that, and I'm sure you're intelligent enough to admit that there might be another way, another approach, even though people in such situations want to see, they want to hear, they want to feel, the energy of people in the streets shouting, etc. But there's not only one way to win wars.
So what are some of the other ways to win wars in a situation where, no amount of voting, no amount of reform, no amount of constitutional changes will give the people any victory? What other option? Because I know you are discounting right now action, isn't it?
Okay, I can summarize this in one sentence. The people of Cameroon have already done what they could, taking into account the state of mind of beaten, knocked down people. Now, the Tchiroma people, with the military, with international community and diplomacy, are taking on from here. Thank you, Cameroonians. You have observed 3 days where shops were shut. We have done what we could. We're no longer asking anything from you. We're taking it from here. We have the soldiers, we have the international community, we have the diplomacy. You will see the Bias government down.
Emmanuel, this is where the doubt comes in, because we have heard this talk of international community from the days of John Frundi to Canto to the Amazonian struggle for independence, the international community. It is like they are too hard to hear anybody. We haven't seen them yet, and you are still counting on them.
The international, I understand the frustration, believe me. But this time, there is military by millions ready to act within Cameroon. They are hidden, okay? We shall not tell you everything because we know how it works. But use a little faith, okay? And wait until December. Use a lot of faith. There's also spiritual warfare going on. A war is also won by faith. We heard the priest complain about the situation in Cameroon, the church in Cameroon. This is a corrupt church. Okay? Isaiah 5:20 says, "Woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter." In the book of Acts chapter 15, because I believe the Bible, I don't believe in Catholic Church, but I believe in the Bible. In the book of Acts chapter 15, we have the board of apostles in Jerusalem, led by James, and they were giving the doctrine to the churches. You did not have rogue churches out there doing what they want, making decisions, applauding illegal governments, etc. No, the Pope should be like James, the chief of the apostles of Jerusalem. They would gather, the 12 would gather, They will study the doctrine, and they will send out the apostles as Paul and Barnabas were sent out to the churches to deliver the doctrine to the churches. We call that unity of church. So we have to consider the context. Listen, the people of Cameroon don't even talk. The people of Cameroon.
Emmanuel, I don't think you are saying anything different from what the Reverend Lado has said. He has acknowledged that the church is not doing the right thing. But now the question is, the church is not doing the right thing. What is the leadership of this revolution prepared to do that people can see and put their hopes on?
Give President-elect Tchiroma up to December to prove his process.
Okay.
Point blank.
That's a fair point.
Use a little faith. And this time it's not only international community, there's also military. We never had before. John Frundi didn't have military. You know, the other opponents never had military with them. So it's many layers. It's not only diplomacy. It's not only international community. It's also the military. There's something huge that is ready to strike this government. So use a little faith. Give us 1 month. I understand that the process is uncommon. They don't have a website. They don't have the beautiful house on top of the mountain with the lights where people can see where the revolution is being done. Okay? I agree with that. It's not easy, but give 1 month to the process and use some faith. Go out and pray. I've been praying, interceding for this nation for 2 years. I never came back to Cameroon because God told me that Biya sold this nation to Satan and that there is no justice. You cannot even open a church because they will ask you to give your ass. Sorry to speak that way. When there is no justice, you cannot build anything. So I love this country. I'm looking forward, if I've not gone into the rapture of the true church, to going back there. But there's a work that's going to be done that is uncommon. The process is uncommon. Just accept that things are not done the way you've learned in school, the way you have observed in society, the way that revolutions are made. I understand that. But I tell you, this is a new chapter to add to your knowledge and to your book concerning revolutions. It's the Cameroonian revolutions by the people, for the people, but this time it is the military and the people around Tchiroma that who are taking it from here. We don't ask people to go in the street and get shot. Again, that's just finished. We don't want people to get killed. We take it from here. And you will see the result by December when this regime will be toppled.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I think that's quite what people out there want to hear. Do you know the level of the Cameroon military commitment on the ground? I mean, those who are ready and who have already enrolled to support this revolution.
Well, I can tell you that there is a division among the military in Cameroon because the government realized that hundreds of thousands, let's say 10,000 of soldiers are against Biya, and they realized that there is a division among the army. Now, we have another army that is working with President-elect Tchiroma that has been recruiting from the national army, especially those who have been denied weapons because they are not from the south. Because this regime has a fear that the soldiers coming from north, shall revolt. So they're not giving them the weapons. But don't worry, we have a huge number by millions of soldiers who are prepared to help topple this government. Is acted, is, things are ready. Okay? There's a timeline that is secret, but there's no worries about the soldiers. They have been proposed 600,000 euros. They have the money. We have a huge amount of money that is come from all over the world to finance everything. The Bias government is going to run dry because the international organization that was lending the money have stopped lending the money because we have sent dossiers to show them that the money received by Bias government is used to kill people. And so they will no longer have money to finance the Israeli mercenaries, to pay the salaries of the soldiers, even the beer. There is a revolt among the beer now because people are not getting paid, and some people are paid more than others. So that's the point. They won't even have an army to stand before us.
All right. Let me turn over to Reverend Father Ladovic to maybe respond to some of the points that you made, and then we will open the phone lines and hear from the audience. Reverend, go on, please.
I just want to say something. I praise the Reverend for his position concerning the church in Cameroon. That was very bold and courageous, and I praise him for that.
Thank you. Reverend, go on, please.
Well, again, of course, this is, we are trying to kind of envision the future of a country. And again, I just hope that Mr. Emmanuel is right in his, he's so confident about what is coming in the next few weeks, because December is not very far. And again, just hope that he's right and that Cameroon will be liberated by December. But again, as a university lecturer, as a sociologist, I definitely tend to abide by what I've learned, which is based on experience. Of course, God can always work miracles. But, I don't think that the situation in Cameroon is worse than it was in the French Revolution, than it was in the American Revolution. And I think people are hoping for a clean revolution in Cameroon. It doesn't exist anywhere. It doesn't exist anywhere. Again, maybe God will make that happen in Cameroon, but a clean revolution doesn't exist anywhere. People die and pay the price for any revolution anywhere. That's what history tells us. But again, if he believes that there is a blueprint for Cameroon, and which makes it that God will intervene, the angels will come down and topple down the Bias regime and get Tchiroma to Etudi. Well, I'm happy to follow him on that, because that's my hope also. That's my wish. But I don't believe in any easy spiritualization of any political instantiation or any political process. And so I would definitely continue to be cautious about the way this the process is evolving, and challenge who needs to be challenged on how it is being led. Because again, Cameroonians need to stand up for their rights and pay the price to be free. It is that way everywhere. And history, that's what history, just take the case of the Anglophone crisis. I don't trust any international community. Basically because look at what is happening in Gaza. If they had to rely on the international, it's all about interest. And so if if Cameroonians sleep in their rooms and think that the international community will rise for them, it is a waste of, it's illusion. And,
Yeah.
and again, I beg to disagree with Mr. Mote on this, but I think Cameroonians, if they want freedom, they must fight for it and pay the price. Even the Bible we read, why did Jesus die? He died because he stood, the grounds of his principle. And if you believe in freedom and truth and justice and truth, you will pay the price, and it is death. We can't just go and sleep in our rooms or sit comfortably in our, abroad, and think that the angels will come down and topple the regime. This military he's talking about, well, again, I hope he knows what he's talking about. But I don't believe in any easy revolution. No revolution is clean. And I wish and I hope that the Cameroonian revolution, as Mr. Moto is saying, will be clean, because, again, he believes that angels will come and help us move that regime out of Cameroon. Yes, that's my reaction.
All right.
Well,
All right.
listen. We told you that there is a warfare and soldiers already to war, for war. So there will be bloodshed, but amidst soldiers against soldiers. Okay? I will remind you that 3,000 people have died from military bullets already in Cameroon. So you cannot say that no one died. 3,000 people at least have died at this point in Cameroon because they went out of they took to the streets for protest. So that's one thing you cannot deny, that 3,000 people died. Second, what we're saying that there is a war that is coming up, and it will be waged by military soldiers against soldiers. The Biya soldiers will fight Tchiroma soldiers. Okay? That's why I said we're taking it from here, people of Cameroon. From our point of view, enough of you have died already. And people are not sitting. Remember that the president-elect asked people to observe a whole day for mourning, and and people can come out peacefully in the streets for manifestations, but they don't need to go into a situation where they're going to get shot. There are many ways to wage war and revolution. So in conclusion, the next step is between military, and there will be bloodshed amid soldiers, but no longer the people.
All right. Reverend Ladovic and Emmanuel, if you still have a little time to wait, I would like to open the phone lines, take a few phone calls from our listeners. Let's get to know what is on their mind as they listen to us, please. Can we do that?
Sure.
All right. So please stay put in there. Stay put in there while we get the listeners to weigh in. Remember, before you call, shut down the volume of your television set and focus on your phone. If I pick your call, and instead of hearing you saying hello, I'm hearing myself in your background, I will just go to the next caller and forget about you. So again, make sure you shut down the volume of your set in the background before you call. The phone line is right there on the screen. So go ahead and call. Let's know what is on your mind. Okay, the first caller, I guess this is Nigeria. Hello.
Hello, good evening, comrade, please.
Good evening, sir. You are calling from Nigeria?
Yes, comrade.
Okay, what is on your mind? 30 seconds.
Yes, I wanted to ask the Reverend Father, as a servant of God. I don't know if the Bibles actually support open rebuke to the leaders of the country. That is one question. And then secondly, I wanted to find out as well from the servant of God if he actually support armed conflict.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
If they have to, if they have to topple the regime in Yaoundé through armed conflict. That's just what I wanted to find out from the servant of God.
All right. I will let him hold on. Just note the question, Reverend, and I will give you the opportunity to answer that. Thank you for the call. Okay. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Brother Chris.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Maryland, and I just want to reference our two guests tonight. Father Lado, thank you. You remind me of the great Oscar Romero. I'm a seminarian myself. About this revolution, there in the Garden of Eden, the apostles were expecting a revolution, a human revolution. But in the end, they had to run away because their expectations were not met. So, in that on that same day, Jesus Christ lost his life because two enemies became friends. Two politicians became friends over the death of a good man. So, this is a continuation of a history. It's also theological, and you are right. It is time for the people to stand up. You have to die for the truth, whether you are a priest or you're an ordinary citizen. And we, at this moment, we are ready to die for the truth. Mr. Mote, thank you also, because for the first time, a little bit of confidence is coming to Cameroonians that, yes, something is going on. There is a plan from Tchiroma. So you have given us a month. We are ready. We have taken 43 years. What is 1 month? We'll wait for that 1 month. Thank you both very much.
All right. Thank you, sir. Very much appreciated. All right. The phone line is open. Go ahead and call. Go ahead, make your phone call. Okay. In the absence of, okay, let's take this caller here. Hello.
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 Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from La Republic.
Okay, and what is on your mind, sir?
Yeah, the first thing, the mannerism of Issa Tchiroma operating is very wrong. Whosoever is accepting that approach is very wrong. There should be a right response of every question on the earth. So he's using a wrong mistake. Now he has called for a lockdown tomorrow. Nobody will lock down because they have started minimizing his response. And they don't know that the enemy too is working. And there are people that doesn't know that life has a human responsibility. We need our responsibility. We started it. The man is quenching it down and bringing his own. Even the military that they are talking about, the people that are with the military, they will bring over the military with time. They will solve their problem and the problem will be over. These people are sleeping. And this thing is becoming bored on the ground. And nobody will respect him again as he continued doing all those things. Tomorrow I want to see whether they will be closed down.
Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you. Thank you for the call.
Yeah, we can respond right away to that point because
All right.
the day of mourning tomorrow is
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from?
concerning.
This is Jeff from Berlin.
From Berlin. All right. What is on your mind, sir?
Yes.
I have a comment and a question.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, I go with a comment, sir.
All right.
Comment me. So, yeah, my first comment is I don't know why we are blaming a Bishop Kia, for example, an nuncio who came to Bamenda and is killing the truth. We know the person that won the election, and they are sitting on the truth, and they cannot tell the Cameroonian people the truth. But the people we need to blame most are the Catholic Christians. Why would you
blame the Catholic Christians? They voted. They jeered at the mention of Blair as president.
I will tell you, yes. In as much as we're blaming the leaders, we should also blame them because they went and voted, and the leaders are sitting on the truth. Why would they accept to go and sit under the canopy of the hypocrites? Called the priest, the archbishop, who knows the truth about this election. So they can vomit him. And I mean, this is the best way to go. They should both be blamed for that.
Okay.
I would not be sitting under the bishop who is a hypocrite, who knows the truth, because he's afraid that if they don't say this other way, this will happen. Don't forget, the day Bishop Kia, who used to be Mafe, he was very vocal about Amazonian crisis.
Right.
When he went to Bamenda, Atanga and Japan welcomed him with a Prado, and he changed.
Right.
We know the stories. We know all those things. So we are not blind. The Bishop Kia is in Bamenda because of the Christians. The Christians should know their leaders. So I'm in that church as a Christian, I will not go there anymore because he's a hypocrite. So that was my comment. The second point, which is a question I have directed to the gentleman who is talking on behalf of Issa Tchiroma. I don't know if they can equally advise Tchiroma to appoint a spokesperson in the diaspora, because Tchiroma took a step, appointed someone in Cameroon who cannot talk. Right now we are told that her home has been ramshacked, has been surrounded by soldiers. So why would you appoint a spokesperson for the government living in Cameroon? Why can't you appoint someone living in diaspora that can be able to blow the trumpet to sell your agenda? Free and without any fear of intimidation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Hello. 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 Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Where are you calling from, please?
This is Shay Tata.
Oh, Shay, good to hear your voice, sir.
It's my pleasure, Comrade Chris, and thank you for the wonderful show once again.
Thank you. Thank you. What is on your mind?
I have, first of all, I want to thank Father Lado and Mr. Mote for being on the show. And I think it takes a man to talk on leadership of his church, especially when he sees that there are some issues that need attention. I was not very comfortable with Mr. Mote, the way he started by calling the church evil, because you could have a church, there might be some leaders that are wanting, but a true church is built on the Holy Spirit, and despite the shortcomings, the statement about being evil, for me, that one was too high. But I like the fact that in the end, he had to appreciate the work of the statements from Father Lado and the challenge he took. Now, coming back to him, I want to tell him that there is a position. When he is playing a role, I'm not saying it's a bad role, but he's playing a role that some Amazonians used to call such people as black legs, in quotes, because his role can be interpreted as someone being sent by the enemy to calm down the population, to quell people and maybe kill the momentum. he might be right in what he's saying, and as we are expecting to see this December to see what is going to happen, but the fact that he keeps talking about this camp, we hear this statement every day that time heals all wounds, and we can see that the momentum is dying. Then he went ahead to talk about diplomacy. Now, we know that we read out there that Tchiroma has been unable to speak because where he is not even allowed to speak. But yet we get from all his colleagues that international community is behind him, some presidents are behind him. If these presidents are behind him, then why are they unable to allow him, why are they not able to allow him speak? Because people want to see him speak. Yeah, so people want to see him talk and give command, but he is not being allowed. He has sometimes to take time because he needs to be in a safe place and blah blah blah. So I want us to see the situation of diplomacy as being a very fair tool we are using. We have to take the destiny into our hands. Lastly, the last thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Mr. Mote sees the problem in Cameroon as a language problem. This is not the first time he's saying this. He said it when he called last time. And today he still thinks that if Cameroonians speak French and English, it will solve the problem. Take the case of Canada. How many Canadians do speak both languages? There are many people in Canada who don't speak French, but the country is running. I don't think the problem in Cameroon is a language issue. If you talk about the mayor in Douala, he is speaking French because that is what his country speaks. You must not force him to speak the English, because English is a language spoken in Ambazonia, and these are two countries, whether he wants it or not. That's the difference, and we can see the difference in languages. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the call. I will let my guest to react to some of the comments and questions before I go opening the phones again, if I will have time to do. Let me start with Reverend Father Ladovic, please. I hear lots of compliments coming to you, and as well as Christians. You go ahead first, please.
Well, thank you. I mean, I first want to thank all those who ask questions. I mean, it helps to clarify a number of things. The question was about whether God can actually condone, a violent approach to, resolving social issues. Of course, I mean, Jesus was never involved in any armed conflict, and nobody is advocating violence here. And basically, Jesus preferred to die for his convictions and, what he stood for in the name of God, than to kill himself. I mean, than to be violent himself. And that's all we are asking or expecting of Christians, that if you are a bishop, if you are a priest, if you are a Christian, stand by the truth. And you could die for it. And that's what Jesus is basically saying, that if we only have like 10 to 15 to 50 people who are able to stand for the truth and die for it, most of our countries will be liberated. The problem is that, again, somebody mentioned it at some point, that we have so many of these, even including lay people, who say they are Christians. Again, who are the people destroying our countries? They are Christians, or at least people who call themselves Christians.
Right.
These are the guys sitting in the front pews, and I mean, they get the front seats in churches. But again, Atanganji will tell you that he's a Catholic. Are we proud of Atanganji as
Don't forget, Atanganji has built a church.
Yes, again, that's what I'm saying. That these are again, if Jesus was not for armed conflict, but at the same time, just read the Old Testament. Moses was chosen by God to liberate his people, and he confronted Pharaoh, not with arms, but with resistance. And that's what we want Christians to do, to resist evil by all means. So we are not advocating for armed conflict or for violence, for anything. Jesus was never violent, but Jesus stood for the truth and he died for it. And if we all try to do that, Cameroon will be liberated tomorrow. Now, there was also another question about
Reverend, before you get to the next point, if I may just ask, when you speak as bluntly as you do,
yes,
do you receive any reprimand when you, when you get out of here?
Well, of course, I'm used to it now from my superiors. But again, you have to win this over. You don't just sit and wait for people to give you the permission to speak out. I have been struggling with this and even with church authorities on this for many, many years. But at the end of the day, the question is, when they challenge me, I always tell them, if I am wrong, tell me what is wrong in what I'm saying. I don't do diplomacy. I'm not trained to be a diplomat. I'm trained to be a servant of God. That's what I do. And I will do it until I die. So again, yes, of course, I get reprimanded for this, but I always said I try to read the gospel, the Bible, and try to abide by it. And I don't care about what comes after, whether a bishop is happy or not, or whether a superior or not. I just try to do, to abide by what I understand to be what the gospel is all about. And again, just to finish on just to come back to send you to the recent announcement by Tchiroma of what he expected of Cameroonians tomorrow on Friday. Again, well, maybe they are working on a spiritual plane in which of which I'm not aware. But if you look at it, on a realistic basis, if you are kind of realistic, you ask yourself, does Tchiroma think that civil servants will not go to work tomorrow? Foolish civil servants will not go to work tomorrow. And they will live on what after that? You don't just wake up one morning and tell people don't go to work. So he's asking people to go and pray tomorrow for the dead. Again, I'm happy with that. But tomorrow is the day of prayer for Muslims mainly. He expects Christians and Catholics and Baptists, when will they go to these churches and pray for the dead? We gather on Sunday, not on Friday. Oh. So for me, there's something wrong somewhere in the way these messages are packaged. And I still hope that his communication team will improve on this. We all want this to work. But the way it is going, and I'm seriously skeptic about how he hopes to rally people around a mourning day for the dead without preparation. And so again, I hope I'm wrong, but we hope to. I will see what happens tomorrow. And let's not forget, again, and I'm ending on that, let's not forget that we are dealing here with people who live on a daily basis. 80% of Cameroonians struggle on a daily basis to survive on what they do out there. So if you want people to prepare for ghost towns, for money, tell them in advance so that they provide for themselves. You don't tell them 1 day or 2 days in advance that, okay, tomorrow you close everything, you stay at home and things like that. Well, and then we'll tell you tomorrow what's going to happen. Well, again, I hope I'm wrong, but I am skeptical about the way this is all going. And I definitely side with the last person who was talking about having a spokesperson outside of Cameroon, because I don't see how Barrister Alistair Com, that I respect for her resistance and courage, is going to even hold a press conference in Cameroon. That's simply not possible. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't have appointed her. Yes, that's a good figure. I mean, a respected resistance figure in Francophone Cameroon. But we need somebody to take over in Cameroon, if at all, I mean, out of Cameroon, to continue to be the spokesperson for Tchiroma. Because again, I believe myself, as the last person to ask the question was saying that Tchiroma has his hands tied. As long as you are in Africa, I don't see any African country allowing you to use their country to kind of destabilize another country. That's going to be a difficult situation to handle. So you better have at least a spokesperson in the diaspora who can take over if Barrister Alice cannot handle it in Cameroon. Well, yeah, that's what I wanted to say in response to the question.
Thank you. Before I get to Emmanuel with his response to the caller, let me quickly get this caller here. Hello.
Hello, Mr. Chris.
Hello, where are you calling from, ma'am?
I'm calling from the UK.
Okay, and what is your contribution?
Yeah, my contribution is, first you put us a paper to contribute. If you have PayPal, I would like you to put a paper so that our contribution can be going easily to you. And then secondly, I would differ from many people who are saying Tchiroma should bring all their cards on the table. We have a problem in Southern Cameroon because of us bringing all our cards on the table, and our people are behind bars today. So can we learn from that? So for me, what Tchiroma is doing, I don't know. I think Tchiroma is the best person to take us or to bring these people down. If we are too fast, we want everything today, I don't think we are ready for the, we are ready to free ourselves. That's my take.
All right, your take is well taken, but I don't think anybody is saying that Tchiroma should put all of his cards on the table. We are saying that he is not engaged. He is not engaged as a leader of a revolution. You want to come out once in a while, say something, stir up engagement with your followers, but you have a situation.
He's coming now. He's coming. He's coming. You people have to give him time. You people know this man is you people know the situation he's facing, and if they capture this man, will face the same problem that Julius, is now in Kundingi. So we should try to avoid things like that. We should give him time. When he has time, he come and say something, we take it. That's my take. And that's what I've taken from the experience that we have from the Southern Cameroon crisis that we are till today. Can we learn something?
Well, let's hope that we'll learn something if that something actually comes. Thank you for the call, and thank you for
You're welcome, Mr. Chris.
Thank you. We will put...
we cannot be revealing all our cards. That's my take. Thank you very much. Put out the paper. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good evening, Comrade Chris.
I can hear you, sir. Where are you calling from?
This is Japan.
Japan. Okay. Quickly, sir, 30 seconds. What is on your mind?
Yes, a quick question to your guest, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay.
I think the question here shouldn't be about Tchiroma being silent or whatever he's trying to do, even if he has something serious to offer his people. I want to find out from Mr. Emmanuel if they are aware that Cameroon and the regime, the Yaoundé are just gatekeepers of what they are fighting to gain. The main master in the field or in the house is France. Are they ready to keep France out of Cameroon? Because taking out Bia's regime and whosoever in Cameroon and maintaining France presence in Cameroon will do no good to Cameroon.
All right. Yeah, the quality of your call is not the best. It's Mozart somehow, but I think Emmanuel heard you partly. Thank you for the call. Let him answer. Emmanuel,
I did not hear the question. I'm sorry. I didn't hear quite well. But if somebody heard clearly, let me know. But I didn't really hear quite well. But anyway, well, I see that people are very committed to this thing. Huh? Well, that's revolution, people. People are not being killed in the streets, but look at the dynamic. Look at how people respond. This is the fight. It's not only because you took a bullet that you can say that you went into a fight. Now, I have to address a lot of comments here, especially with my fellow priest. When you say that Tchiroma asks people,
well, you are not responding. Sorry, you are not responding to me. You are responding to those who ask questions. I think so, because I didn't ask.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing. But you said you made a comment after my indication that after you made a comment concerning the decision taken by the president-elect to ask people to observe a day of mourning tomorrow. Okay, so I have to respond because you criticized that, and I'm telling you that you don't need to go anywhere to pray. God lives in your heart. You don't need to go to the mosque, to the cathedral, or to a temple outside your home. I stay in my home, in my room, even in my bed, and I observe a day of mourning for those who died. So there's no issue with that.
Sorry, Mr. Emmanuel, but that's not what is in his statement. He said people should gather in places of worship. So I don't know if the statement went.
Well, I don't think that is the right thing to do. Why? Because when you gather in Cameroon today, in a place of worship, the whole system, the military, the beer, the spies know where you are. They can target you there and shoot you when you come out of that place. But my position is a biblical position. From the Bible, you don't need to go anywhere to pray, because the temple of the Holy Ghost is within yourself. So I don't think that is good biblical education or teaching to let people think that they have to go to a place to gather. I pray according to the Bible. The Bible says that if one or two agree upon a subject to raise a prayer, that prayer is a powerful prayer that will be heard from heaven. I call my brother in Cameroon, I call my sister in Spain, and we decide that at midnight Saturday, we shall gather to pray at the same hour. We don't need to see each other. Like Jesus healed somebody that was a Roman soldier who came to him and said, my servant is sick. And Jesus said, I will come and lay hands on him. The father, that was a centurion, Roman soldier. He said, no, how can you do that? You are the Lord. Just say a word. You don't need to come to my home to pray for my servant. Just say a word, and my servant, because I am a soldier, I have people over me, I have people under me. I just give orders, just give an order. And Jesus was stunned. And he said, even in this way, I have not seen such a faith. And what did Jesus tell him? He didn't go to a place and pray. He said, at this moment, your servant is here. So, biblical teaching is you don't need to go to a place. Spirituality is not the material world. It's the spiritual, invisible world. You don't need to bother to go to a place. You can gather for a common prayer with people without even being at the same place. So, you know, that's the first thing. Number two, I'm quite amazed because you keep saying that our idea of revolution is that people will sit at home and reclining home, and then the angels will come from heaven and solve all the problems. Why at the same time you're saying that tomorrow President-elect Tchiroma has called people to gather to mourn? Why? Because people actually died. Oh, I thought you didn't believe that Tchiroma's revolution will let people give their lives. What is the prayer tomorrow for? People actually died. People. 3,000 people at least died out of military bullets from the government. Why are you keep saying that people don't want to die to give their lives? That Jesus Christ gives his life, Christians must be ready to die, but people die. That's what we're mourning tomorrow. And you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe in 3 days, as things are going on, because we adapt to the situation on the terrain, maybe we're going to ask people to gather around the palace of Etudi. We're going to say we want 1 million Cameroonians to gather silently around the palace of Etudi in 3 days. You don't know that. So we do not exclude anything. That's what I want you to get. We do not say people don't go to the street, don't take to the street, don't go express your anger. But we don't want to tell you by advance what we're going to do. When you say that Tchiroma should give people 3 days to prepare themselves when they have to shut down, that's not how you wage war, because you are giving alert to your enemy. If your enemy knows that in 3 days you will shut your shops, he's going to react accordingly. He's going to do something to block that. So we have to use that technology. Maybe you're not acquainted with. We have to use surprise. We have to work in a common way unexpectedly, but we do not exclude anything. People have already observed 3 days where everything was shut. You were there. You have seen these ghost towns during 3 days. It worked. We do not exclude anything because we just don't want to give time or clues to the enemy in Cameroon, who is very powerful.
All right.
Now, the guy who said that Ambazonians is a country and Douala is another country, this is unacceptable. This is preaching division among the population. You cannot say that the mayor of Douala is right not to speak English, because in Douala, I'm sorry, they are Anglophones too. Okay? In Douala, they are Anglophones under the administration of Mayor Joseph. So Mayor Joseph or any representative of the people should speak English and French alike. Stop dividing the country between Ambazonians. They call themselves Ambazonians because they don't recognize themselves as Cameroonians, because they have never been considered. They never had a president. They don't have economic power. They were let down by the English when the English chose to the partition and they chose one part of Cameroon to be English and the other by the French to be French. Then the English let down the English side, and now they don't feel like Cameroonians. They refer to themselves as Ambazonians. This is unacceptable. So I insist that the language problem is a huge weakness in Cameroon, because culture is based upon language. If you don't have the same language to speak, or even if there are different languages, you should be able to understand one another without using an interpreter. That's a shame among amid the world. What country has such problems?
Emmanuel, let me ask you, I can understand you've lived out of the country, out of Cameroon for probably, I think you told me about 30 years, is it?
Yeah.
You live out of Cameroon for about 30 years and you've trained yourself on speaking English and still maintaining your original French language. But I'm afraid your staying out this long has kind of made you not to be able to understand the conflict going on in Ambazonia. The conflict in Ambazonia is not a language issue. So even if the mayor of Douala were to start speaking fluent English today, I still won't recognize him as one of my countrymen because we are not divided by the language. We are saying that Ambazonia, the southern Cameroons, was essentially annexed, not part of Cameroon, never been part of Cameroon, because we have a partition at the Mongo, not put there by Ambazonians or Southern Cameroonians, by the United Nations. The flag that brought the two countries together in 1961 had two sovereigns, had two stars, and each of those stars represented a sovereign state. Where are those stars today? They do not exist. When the two states came together, you had a prime minister in Boya, a president in Yaoundé. Where is the prime minister in Boya? He doesn't exist. When the two states came together, you had a separate educational system in the east and a separate in the west, a separate legal system in the east and a separate one in the west. Where are they today? They don't exist. But the point I am making here is that the conflict between Cameroon and Ambazonia is not a linguistic issue. I don't care who speaks which language in that country, for as long as Southern Cameroonians remain marginalized, annexed essentially, there's not going to be any uniformity in that country. Unless people like Tchiroma come on and say, you know what, this injustice has been on for so long, let us sit down and genuinely look for a solution. Unless in this scenario, but given the current scenario with Paul Biya and his cronies, there is never a day we will sit here and talk about English being the problem with Cameroon and La République du Cameroun. I hope that makes sense to you.
So I thank you for your comment. My position is the history of the situation. Well, how did it start? In 1884, sir, Cameroon was a German colony, okay? 1916 to 1919, France and Britain partitioned Cameroon, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess it started with language, French and Britain. Then 1960, 1961, independence and reunification highlight the fragile foundation of today's Anglophone, Francophone divide. I assume, as you said rightfully, that problem occurred, multi-layered problem occurred from the foundation of language. That's how it started. And I assume...
The foundation of the problem is not language. It is the inability of the other state that joined another state. French Cameroon joined Ambazonia. Ambazonia joined French Cameroon. Again, on equal status as two sovereign states. But one other state used its population, its weight, to essentially annex the other state. But thank God, the pillars that divide us, the marked boundaries internationally by the United Nations, they are still there. So we are saying this is not a language problem caused from the way it was done from the beginning. No, it is because there is absolutely nothing that binds English and West and East Cameroon together documentarily.
Thank you for that information. Now, thank you very much. Now, what is in a process of national reconciliation? We invite Amazonian representatives and ask for forgiveness from our Anglophone brothers, that we should offer them a form of reparation of their choosing for the harm they have suffered due to the contempt, arrogance, and cowardice of Francophones that have been going on since at least 1960, supported by France, a country that sought to appropriate Cameroon's wealth, even its currency. I would plead that we integrate bilingualism not only in the Constitution, but in much productive process into the everyday practice of the nation's social and economic fabric. We must finally become land enriched by its ethnic, linguistic, and cultural diversity. Okay, I assume, and I thank you for that, that English is not the basic issue. But why not invent a form of reconciliation, retribution, reparation? Because we can't go on like this.
No, I agree with your language there, reconciliatory language there. But that is what we started by asking. When this started in 2016, remember, Amazonian lawyers, Teacher Confederation, they were saying, we want change. We can't continue in this same old marginalization of our culture. And what did they receive? Arrests, imprisonments, kidnappings, tortures, bribing, thinking that they would use that to drive the problem away. That did not happen. So the idea of reparation, reconciliation, that is what we started with. Now it's been 9 solid years, and the regime in Yaoundé has not for once invited Amazonians to sit down to discuss a solution to the conflict. Instead, what we hear from Yaoundé is, we will kill all of them. Give them time, they will all surrender. They will lay down their arms. Yeah. Of course, we've gone too far to lay down arms in Amazonia. And if Tchiroma does not win, they should expect maybe another 1 decade, another more decade. Ethiopia, the South Sudan fought for 20 years, Eritrea for about 30 years, and so on to get their independence. After all these people have been killed, after our towns and villages have been razed, why does anybody in Yaoundé think that we are now going to lay down arms? For what reason? So, if Issa Tchiroma comes in and said, listen, I am sincerely, on behalf of La République du Cameroun, sorry for what transpired within the past 60 years. Let's sit down and talk like brothers. We are ready to sit down and talk. Sitting down is not a resolution. We are not objecting to any form of sitting down that has transparency. But without that, we can't sit down. Cameroon called for grand national dialogue. It was essentially a one-way dialogue in which they already predetermined what was going to happen after grand national dialogue. The people were not consulted when they called for some special status for the Southern Cameroons. The people were not consulted when they created the so-called regional councils and regional houses of chiefs. And you look back to it, you ask yourself, what did it achieve? What did it change? So that is why Amazonia is bent on saying that there are no half solutions here. We have to have real solutions so that when we say the war is over, it is indeed over. Let me bring in Reverend Father to contribute here, please.
Yes. Well, again, Mr. Chris, I think the problem of Cameroon, again, is not a linguistic problem, it's a problem of governance. And it has taken 10 years for Francophones to realize that what the Anglophones were complaining about, they were right. Because what you have said is truth. It's simple truth. I mean, the Anglophone, I was in Cameroon when it all started. And I only left Cameroon like 3 months ago for my fellowship at Harvard. I know it started just by simple, very simple, ordinary complaints about don't swallow us. We have our educational system. We have our judiciary system. And again, as you have just said, you were expecting a listening ear. I mean, the Anglophones were expecting a listening ear. What they got is a repression. And that's exactly what they are doing now with the Francophone crisis, because that's what I call it now. It may have come like 10 years later, but it's because what we are experiencing now is a Francophone crisis, just as comparable to the Anglophone crisis. Because, well, what are Francophones saying now? Well, we enough is enough. We want a better government. We want justice. We want a better governed country. And if, again, the current regime simply chooses repression instead of listening, instead of dialogue, instead of, we don't know where we will end. And I'm afraid we may end up with the same kind of, people taking arms to say enough is enough, because you can't suffer this sort of regime for 43 years and expect people to just sit down. Again, I'm just insisting on this. Look at the people who went into the streets. This was the poorest of the poor, not the middle class sitting in an office and giving instruction. Nobody asked them to go into the street. This was spontaneous. And again, we shouldn't confuse this with, Tchiroma is probably the chosen guy for this time, and we must recognize that. But people did not vote for Tchiroma because Tchiroma has a good record. People voted for Tchiroma because they want change. And I hope Tchiroma himself understands this, that he's not the best, the ideal leader out there, that people went for him. People went for him because they want to get out of this regime. Just as the Ambazonian, the Anglophones took up arms because they were tired of the injustices of this regime. And so my hope is that at this time, Francophones and Anglophones can join hands and fight for the liberation of Cameroon. So that's my hope.
Well, I can assure you that
the last word, Emma. Go on, please.
Well, thank you for these beautiful holy words, and I can assure you that Tchiroma has planned to come back with federalism, to sit with Ambazonians for a national dialogue. And he used the word federalism, that it's time to listen up to Cameroonians from all the nation. And I agree, Tchiroma is not the Messiah. Those who think Tchiroma is the Messiah as his enemies, they are the enemies of the countries of Cameroon. Tchiroma responded to a call from the society for a change, and he came to channel that thirst, that demand, but he's not the Messiah. If Tchiroma is not here today, that's what the Bias people don't understand. Even if Tchiroma dies today, the revolution will continue, because it is an idea, it is a thirst, it is a life-changing process coming from above and birthed into the people, by the people, for the people. And the last thing, Tchiroma does not need necessarily to choose a spokesman in the diaspora. I am a spokesman in the diaspora, unofficial. There are official spokespeople and there are unofficial spokespeople. And I say that every Cameroonian thirsty for change is a spokesperson for Tchiroma wherever he is. So the point is there are official and non-official spokespersons. Thank you. God bless.
All right. Thank you both, Reverend Ladovic. It was a great pleasure having you on, sir. And I will always get back to you when need be. And Manuel, thank you for joining from Paris. It must be very late. I think it's after 11 there in Paris. Thank you for coming in and sitting this long. You have a great night, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
All right.
Reverend. God bless you all.
Thank you. God bless you too, and see you next time. Thank you, Mr. Christian. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that will be it for tonight. But before I go, I just like to again remind all of you out there following the call of the lady from London. We need your help. ABS needs your help to stay on satellite. We are on satellite in all of sub-Saharan Africa. That means if you are in South Africa, you will watch ABS. You are in the Congo, you will watch ABS. You are in Chad, you will watch ABS. Everywhere in Africa, we are doing this because we could have well used YouTube like everybody is doing. Almost everybody is on YouTube, right? But we don't want to do this on YouTube only because this is a cause. We consider this a cause. And we have an audience for that cause. A people that we need to mobilize and get engaged. And for that reason, we know that not everybody in Africa can afford the data to stay on YouTube for as long, for as long as some of you that I see here. You come on here on YouTube and you stay for hours listening, watching and listening and calling. The people in Africa cannot do that because they don't have the data to sit on YouTube. And that is why we have to stay on satellite. And that is why we are asking you to support us to stay on satellite. Somebody called from London and was asking for payment information, support or donation information. All we can do now is to say that if you go to absafricatv.com, absafricatv.com, on the top right hand of the page, you will see the button, donate. You click on that button. If you are in Europe, anywhere in Europe, you can donate by way of PayPal. Once you click on that button, again, you log on to the website, absafricatv.com. And then once on the home page, you click on the top right, the donate button. And the donate button will open to the page where you make your PayPal donation. I want to appreciate you for doing so and for helping to keep ABS running on satellite in all of Africa. You can use your phone to take a screenshot of that piece of information there so you can go home and navigate the website to get that. Now, besides that, we also have a club, an ABS club of people making committed to donations of $100 a month. If you are in the U.S., we have the Zelle and the Cash App number right there on your screen. You can use them to make immediate donations. I want to thank those who already donated from yesterday. Again, you have the payment, the Zelle, and the Cash App information there on your screen. If you use your phone, you can take a screenshot of that information to use maybe later after the show to make your donation. And if you want to belong to the club, you want to belong to the ABS 100 Club, you can call the phone number on your screen. You can call the phone number on your screen to be admitted into that club. If you want to belong there to become one of ABS sponsors, please use that phone number, call that phone number, or send a message to that phone number and let them know you want to belong to the club, and they will respond to you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think with that, we will call it a night tonight, and I look forward to coming back tomorrow, Friday. We'll be talking about the terrorism charges levied against Nnamdi Kanu in Nigeria by a Nigerian court. And I will also be talking of the lockdown in Cameroon by Issa Tchiroma that is supposed to be taking place tomorrow. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, I am your comrade in arms, Chris Ano. Good night.
Are you ready to unlock the power of AI? Mastering AI Tools, a practical guide to ChatGPT and OpenAI, is your ultimate gateway course to harnessing AI in your career or studies. Provided by Pascal Presentations LLC, a trusted name in cutting-edge education, this course empowers you with the skills needed to navigate and utilize AI effectively. Whether you're a professional looking to boost productivity, a student wanting to stay ahead, or an everyday person trying to upgrade your knowledge on this transformative technology, this course gives you hands-on experience and practical tools to make AI work for you. Don't wait for the future. Start mastering it today. Enroll now with Pascal Presentations LLC and take the first step towards transforming your potential with AI.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
Three years the river has flowed. Same bank, same stone, same winding road. But the youth are calling with voices loud, breaking through the grey morning cloud. The land is tired, the people are strong, waiting, praying it won't be long. One man stepped from the halls of power to stand with us in this urgent hour. Tchiroma, oh Tchiroma, you carry our dream, a beacon shining where hope has been. From the mountains to the shore, we raise our prayer that change will come and justice be fair.
Tchiroma, oh Tchiroma, light the way home for every child of Cameroon.
In every village, every crowded street, hearts are pounding with history's beat. The hands that built this nation cry for schools that teach, for truth not lies, for bread on tables, for work and pride, for leaders who will walk beside, not above us, not beyond our reach, but one who practices what they preach. Tchiroma, oh Tchiroma, you carry our dream, a beacon shining where hope has been. From the mountains to the shore, we raise our prayer that change will come and justice be fair.
Tchiroma, oh Tchiroma, light the way home for every child of Cameroon.
To the elder who has served so long, your chapter's written, your story strong. Find your ease now in honor and grace. Pass the torch to a younger face. Let Cameroon remember you, not for holding on, but letting through. The dawn that's breaking, the hope reborn. This is not defeat, it's a gentler moon. Tchiroma, oh, Tchiroma, you carry our dream. A beacon shining where hope has been. From the mountains to the shore, the people stand ready to rebuild this blessed land.
Tchiroma, oh, Tchiroma, we believe we'll come home.
Tchiroma, oh, Tchiroma, you carry our dream.
Tchiroma,
a beacon shining in hand where hope has been. From the mountains to the shore, the people stand ready to rebuild this blessed land.
Tchiroma, oh, Tchiroma.